In late 2021, 7 engineers walked out of the most valuable AI lab on Earth. They believed the future of artificial intelligence was being built the wrong way, and they were going to prove it. Today, the company they founded is shaping how billions of people will use AI. Their model isn't always the loudest in the headlines, but it's the one a growing number of researchers, programmers, lawyers, and writers quietly rely on every single day. Over the next 8 minutes, we'll unpack what Claude actually is, where it came from, and why it feels so different from everything else on the market. Claude is built by a company called Anthropic, founded in 2021 by a small group of former senior researchers, most of them veterans of another well-known AI lab. They left over a single disagreement, but it was a profound one. They believed that as artificial intelligence got more powerful, the way the major labs were training their models was creating risks no one fully understood. So they built a new company with a simple, almost stubborn mission: make the most capable AI systems on the planet, and prove that they could also be the safest. The bet was risky. AI safety at the time sounded niche. Investors weren't sure there was a real market for careful AI, but Anthropic raised billions, hired some of the sharpest minds in machine learning, and started shipping. The result was a model named Claude, a quiet, almost academic counterpart to the flashier chatbots dominating tech news. And against most predictions, it didn't just keep up. It started pulling ahead in the places that mattered most. Here's the part most people overlook. The way you train a large language model determines how it behaves: its tone, its values, its willingness to bend rules. Most labs lean heavily on a technique called reinforcement learning from human feedback. Thousands of contractors rate model responses, and the model learns what humans seem to want. Anthropic flipped that script. They invented a method they call constitutional AI. Instead of relying purely on humans to grade every answer, they give the model a written set of principles, drawn from things like the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, from research on helpfulness and honesty, from explicit rules about harm, and the model learns to critique and refine its own outputs against that document. Think of it like a debate club running inside the model's head. Before you ever see an answer, Claude has already weighed it against an internal constitution. The effect is hard to describe until you use it. Responses feel measured, deliberate, almost lawyer-like. It pushes back when it should. It admits uncertainty instead of hallucinating confidence. But values alone don't win benchmarks. What truly sets Claude apart, technically, is its memory. Most language models can hold the equivalent of a few dozen pages in their working context. Claude can hold the equivalent of an entire novel or a full codebase in a single conversation. The flagship version supports a context window of 1 million tokens. To put that in perspective, you could paste the complete legal contract bundle of a corporate merger, a year of customer support transcripts, or the source code of a mid-size software product, and ask Claude to reason across all of it at once, without breaking up the question into chunks. For developers, this changes the math entirely. A junior engineer can now feed Claude an unfamiliar repository and have it map architectural decisions in minutes. For lawyers, it means cross-referencing precedent at a scale that was previously impossible. For researchers, it means uploading every paper in a field and asking Claude to find the threads no one's pulled on yet. The window isn't a gimmick. It's a different kind of mind. And then came the next leap. For most of the last few years, talking to an AI meant typing into a box and waiting for words to come back. Claude broke that pattern. Anthropic introduced something called tool use, and later, full computer use. Claude can browse the web, run code, query databases, edit files, control a desktop. They open-sourced a protocol called the Model Context Protocol, or MCP, that lets any developer plug their own tools, a calendar, a CRM, an internal database, directly into Claude. Suddenly, Claude isn't just answering questions, it's executing tasks. A developer can ask it to ship a feature, and Claude will read the codebase, write the patch, run the tests, and open a pull request by itself. A researcher can hand it a vague goal and watch it spend an hour quietly searching, reading, downloading, and synthesizing. This is what people mean when they talk about agents, not a chatbot. A tireless, careful, surprisingly competent digital coworker that lives one tab away. But there's one more thing, and it's the hardest to put into words. Spend enough time with different AI models, and you start to notice they have a personality. Some feel eager, almost performative. Others feel efficient, sometimes clipped. Claude feels, and I know this sounds strange, thoughtful. It hedges where hedging is warranted. It catches its own mistakes mid-sentence. It tells you when a question is more complicated than you've framed it. Writers describe it as the model that makes their prose better instead of louder. Programmers say it's the one that asks the clarifying question instead of guessing. Lawyers say it's the one that flags the risk you didn't think to ask about. None of this is an accident. It's the downstream effect of the constitutional training, the massive context, the focus on safety not as a constraint, but as a design principle. Claude isn't trying to dazzle you, it's trying to be useful in a way that holds up when the stakes are real and someone is going to act on its answer. That's Claude AI. Quiet, capable, and quietly changing how millions of people think, write, and build. If you found this useful, subscribe. Next, we're going deep into what constitutional AI actually means for the future of work.